Hello everybody, Vynarity here and welcome back to another reaction. Guess who's back? Yeah, I'm back, as you can tell. The reason why I was away so long, plain old simple, I didn't want to make videos actually. There were a lot of new releases from a lot of games that I play. I even started 2 new ones, so I was busy doing my stuff. And also the fact that for the 100 subscribers, only one person asked me a question. That was a little bit disappointing. But I can't do much about it, other than complain. Sort of. Anyway, today we're doing something really different, but that I always wanted to try. And it's reading a fanfic. I've always liked to talk, to tell. Mostly tell than talk. You know, tell a story. So I always like that, but I never had that great chance actually. And this came out just perfectly. This is the Burning Sparkle fanfic made by a friend of mine, Burning X, and came out on the 1st of January. New Year, by the way. Happy New Year, by the way. Stuff. Yeah, it came out the 1st of January, and I was waiting because I was actually planning to buying a pop filter, but things turned out badly. I looked up on Amazon, but this happened. So yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't. And none of my local store actually have one that I like. There was one, but it was as big as a plate. So I didn't quite want that. And also my microphone is too big for any microphone stand. Yeah, I need to still work with this on the table, which is bad because I like to, sometimes I hit the table and it makes a lot of sound, a lot of noise, but that will be with the future. Now, how I'm gonna do this? There are many ways to actually read a fanfic. You can also voice act, but I can't voice act. I actually tried to make Twilight's voice or Nathan's voice, but I can't. I also know there's Spike in it, and not even his voice. I mean, I could try, but it won't hand out well. I already know. It will be in the outtakes eventually, if I make some. Anyway, I'm dragging this way too long for my computer to render, so let's get started. Our story begins in Ponyville. Everywhere was quiet, and the town was peaceful and tranquil. At the Golden Oak Library, Twilight Sparkle and her faithful assistant Spike had just finished the tiring task of putting away all of the books that Twilight had been reading that evening. Phew! I don't know about you, Spike, but my legs sure could use a stretch. Want to come for a trot with me? Twilight asked, while stretching out her front legs and yawning. Sure, but can we go see Rarity later? Spike had a glint in his eyes as he mentioned Rarity's name. Okay, Casanova, I know how much you like her. Twilight wasn't fooled by Spike's not so subtle tone. "What? I don't know what you mean, Twilight," Spike exclaimed with a hint of nervousness in his voice. Twilight giggles to his response before the two of them walk off the door. Twilight and Spike walk along the path leading away from the Golden Oak Library. Laughter emits from Twilight's muzzle as Spike says something that amuses her. "Oh, Spike, you really do say the funniest things." "I was being serious, Twilight." The two of them stop their journey as they notice an injured pony on the path. They each gasp in shock before galloping up to the wounded figure. Looking down at the battered pony, they see he is in a critical condition and must do something to aid him. "Whoa, are you okay?" the little dragon asks the stallion in worry. The stallion calls out for help before falling unconscious. "Spike, quick! You have to help me get inside." Looking toward Spike in sheer fright, she calls to her assistant to help her get the unconscious stallion in the library. Spike helped get the stallion on Twilight's back so she could carry him in. The whole time she was carrying him, she couldn't help but struggle with his weight. It may look like an average run-of-the-mill pony from first glance, but it was pretty clear that the stallion worked out a lot. After hauling the hefty stallion up a flight of stairs, Twilight put him to rest in her bed. The comatose stallion was now resting in Twilight's bed. He looked comfortable. Twilight put her hooves gently on his cheek and glared at him softly. "Hey, Twilight, why didn't you just levitate him with your magic?" Sprite brought up a good point, but Twilight wasn't hesitant to answer it at all. "I wanted to be careful with him. I don't know how bad of a state his body is in. I thought carrying him myself would be more safe." Twilight answered the dragon with a soft tone in her voice. She was thinking about nothing but the well-being of the stallion laying in her bed. "And where is he going to sleep? You're not going to share a bed, are you?" Spike once again brings up a very valid point. Twilight scratches her head as she thinks of a viable solution to their new-found dilemma. "Spike, you go over to Quillas and Sofa and have them deliver us a new bed." Twilight was planning to get a spare bed anyway, in case of any sleepover she might have in the future. Spike makes his way to Quills and Sofa, while Twilight stays to keep a watchful eye on her unconscious guest. Before her lay a dusty brown Pegasus stallion. He was covered from head to paws in cuts, bruises, and gashes. It was clear to see the stallion was either in a fight or was attacked. Either way, Twilight will not leave his side. She will dedicate her time to making sure he was alright. She didn't think it could help being as he was unconscious, but she decided to read to the stallion. The purple mare used her magic to grab a daring-do book from one of the nearby bookshelves. The unicorn cleared her throat and began reading to the stallion. Her words seemed to affect him. He smiled at her words. Comatose he may be, but Twilight's words were enough to relax the stallion from his restless mind. The next morning arrived, and still nothing from the comatose stallion. Twilight attended to his wound herself. She put bandages around his cuts and washed away the blood stain on his fur. He had also been moved to the new spare bed just opposite her own. Twilight didn't get much sleep. She stayed awake most of the night to keep a close eye on her patient. "I just don't get it, Spike. What do you think could have happened? I've never seen a pony this badly wounded before," she asked her assistant, with much confusion and worry in her voice. "I don't know, but I am starving," Spike replied, having nothing but food on his mind. "Really, Spike? How can you think of food at a time like this?" Twilight, disappointed in the little dragon, questioned his motives. Spike crossed his arms and changed his tone to a more serious one. "Easy, I haven't eaten since yesterday. I don't know if you remember, but you sent me up to get that spare bed, and by the time I got here it was dark. Spike's stomach growls ferociously, like an angry timber wolf. I suppose we didn't really get much time last night, considering what happened. Truth be told, I could also go for a bite to eat, but I can't just leave him alone. I'm afraid he'll wake up while I'm gone. Twilight conveys her concern to the dragon. You shouldn't keep worrying, Twilight. He's out like a light. It will probably be days before you get a response. Besides, it isn't going to take long to grab a bite and come back here. The little dragon urged Twilight to get out of the library and eat. But all Twilight could think about was if leaving the stallion alone was a good idea or not, even if it was only for a short period. I don't know, Spike, maybe you're right. But I just can't help but feel I need to be here. Twilight continues her worry toward the resting stallion. Do what you like then, but I'm too hungry to wait. See ya. Spike marched toward the door before being halted by Twilight's word. Wait, Spike! I'll come too. You're right. I should remain calm about the situation. We'll just grab a takeout and be back here in a jiffy, the unicorn exclaimed in a more positive tone. Spike walked up to the unicorn and put his claw on her. You will be okay, Twilight. We'll be back here in no time. Just relax, will ya? You're starting to worry me a little. The concern in Spike's voice made Twilight realize that he was right. She knows the stallion is safe in bed and resting. You're right, Spike. Thank you for knocking some sense into me. Come on, let's go. The two left the library to get their breakfast. The room was now silent. Nothing to be heard but the sound of the stallion breathing. Minutes later, the stallion started to become restless, as if he was having a nightmare. What was going on inside his mind was a complete mystery, but it couldn't have been anything pleasant, to say the least. The stallion tossed and he turned around. It was clear that whatever he was dreaming of was really distressing him. Minute by minute, he became more and more uneasy. The sweat started to just pour right out of him. Suddenly, the stallion's eyes bulged open as he rose from the bed. He looked nervously around the room, whilst out of breath. Where am I? Looking around the room in fright, he couldn't see anybody. The room looked empty. The brown-coated Pegasus had no idea where he was or what he was doing there. The stallion climbed carefully out of the bed and put his two front hooves on the wooden library floor, before stumbling headfirst into the ground after losing complete control of his front leg. Whoa! Collapsing to the floor, the no-named pony writhed in pain on the ground, trying to stand up with all of his might, but failed at every attempt. He started crawling toward the staircase to get downstairs, but the stallion stumbled forward and flew down the staircase, hitting each step harder and harder until eventually landing face first on the ground once more. Ouch! A screaming roared from the crippled pony's muscle. His right front leg was fractured, causing immense pain. The screaming echoed throughout the Golden Oak Library, but no pony was around to hear the stallion cries of agony. Moments later, Twilight Sparkle and Spike returned home from collecting their food. They were met with loud screeching as the stallion was downstairs and in an even worse condition than when they found him. Spike! Get help, quickly! Yelling in panic, Twilight ordered her faithful assistant to fetch for help as soon as possible, before dropping all of the food she brought with Spike and rushing to the injured stallion's aid. The purple mare knew that food was the least of her concern right now. Right! Spike runs from the library in search of help as swiftly as he could. Twilight started stroking the mane of the stallion as she spoke to him. You will be okay, I'm here for you. This is my fault and I will make sure never to leave you alone again. Twilight, saddened by her mistake of leaving, tried to make up for what he had promised. The stallion continued to roar in screeching pain until Twilight placed a hoof on his dusty brown coat. The yells of pain became much more quiet and eventually faded into silent grunts. The stallion felt comforted knowing he was in safe hooves. A smile formed on his face. His eyes were closed throughout the whole thing. The pain was too unbearable for him to gather the strength to open them. Several days passed by and still nothing from the dusty brown Pegasus. Sunlight shined through the windows onto the sleeping stallion's face, causing him to wake up from his long slumber. He awoke to the sound of giggling ponies. At first he had no idea what to think, but at least he was settled. Fluttershy came to visit Twilight to see how she was. It had been several days since she or any of her friends last saw their purple book-loving friend. Twilight explained the details on what had gone on during the week of Fluttershy. The two of them started to go off topic and began sharing a laugh. Something amused them. The stallion's ears perked up at the sound of their angelic amusement. "Hello?" The stallion called out. Twilight and Fluttershy went upstairs to see how he was doing. "Oh, thank goodness! You're awake. How are you feeling?" the curious mare asked. It's Twilight or Fluttershy? Not that clear. Anyway, I'm feeling much better, although I'm not sure where am I or who you ponies are, the nameless stallion exclaimed in a tone of confusion. The purple unicorn stared into the stallion's heterochromia eyes. He had one blue and one green eye. She was fascinated by the sight of them as she began to answer his inquiry. "My name is Twilight Sparkle. I find you injured outside the library. That's where I live and is where you are right now." Joining the conversation, the nervous yellow mare introduced herself. "Oh, I'm Fluttershy. I'm one of Twilight's friends. It's nice to meet you," the mare answered very nervously. The dusty brown stallion smiled at their words. They seemed to be kind and trustworthy. "It's really nice to meet you both too. Thank you, Twilight, for helping me. I am forever in your debt." The stallion was pleased to meet the two mares standing before him. A blush formed on the purple unicorn's cheeks. It's really no trouble. I had to do something. I couldn't just leave you there. On another note, I'm curious as to what happened to you. Were you attacked?" The unicorn gave the stallion a curious glare. I have no idea what happened. I don't recall getting attacked." The stallion was confused and had trouble remembering what happened. "Well, do you at least have a name?" "I can't keep calling you Thingy all the time," the mare giggled at her own words. Once again, the stallion had no answer for the inquisitive mare. He shrugged his shoulders to respond before answering. I don't know. I don't remember. I think it begins with B, but I'm not certain." Still nameless, the stallion tried as hard as he could to remember, but sadly no name came to his mind. "Oh, you poor thing. No name? That's just dreadful," the concerned yellow Pegasus exclaimed. Twilight tried her best to think of a substitute name for the stallion until he can remember his real one. Well, how about for now we just call you... The purple unicorn gasped as she comes with a name. "Boris!" The room became as silent as a large creepy smile intensified on Twilight's face as she finished her word. "Boris?" The stallion wasn't best pleased by the name she had chosen. "Boris." The purple unicorn continued her smile as she repeated the name once more. "Boris?" Fluttershy also wasn't sure what to make of the name. "It is settled then. You're now called Boris." The room went silent for the second time as Twilight's smiles lit up the room with confusion. "I'm gonna be honest here, but that name really doesn't fit me." Boris seemed so certain of himself that his new name wouldn't stick. "Actually, I think it suits you, Boris. The room continued its short silence before the three ponies laughed together at the ridiculousness of That was so bad. It was fun, but it was so bad. I really need to improve my reading skills. And then English is not my first language, so it doesn't come natural to say some sentence. I just finished the Turing task. It just doesn't feel right to say to me. Doesn't come up naturally. And I don't like it. That's why I need to get good at it. Good. Looking at... Why am I still reading this? I'm just searching probably for examples. But I'm sure you guys understood what I'm saying. I mean, watch the whole thing with me. I have some peaks here and there, probably when they said Boris. Boris. I like the name. I like Boris. I'm going to call Nathan Boris now. Boris. Okay, let's stop this madness right here and right now. Okay. Okay, I'm here. I ate, and I drank. Anyway, besides my almost decent reading, the fanfic itself was not nice. Nice. I know it's going to be a shipfic, but it's already kind of clear how Twilight is worried about Boris. But yeah, I'm probably gonna tell to you whatever. It looks, you can see this is your first fanfic. You can really see it. And I talk for experience actually. I wrote a lot in the past and I'm doing right now. In the past I just normal stuff, whatever came to my mind, and mostly for school only. But I enjoyed it. But I never had any particular idea to write something. Except one that I had, but it's still unfinished and I don't think I'm gonna ever finish it. Because I was basically stealing other concepts and using it. So yeah, that was something. But yeah, it was funny. That's for sure. It was funny. Yeah. Yeah, many of the, let's say, concerns that I have are actually in the ads guide, which was, actually a guide for writing fanfic. I'm gonna leave it in the comments, in the description below, a link to it, and it's made by, I don't remember who, but it's in the Brony fandom, so he talks for experience, since I think it's a moderator of the FanFiction website. So he saw a lot of different things wrong, and he explains it and says how to fix them. For example, the not calling a character by their name. That is something that needs to be done actually. Until you have a name for it, of course. Calling the nameless stallion was okay, whatever you want, to give it some hints on how it looks and so on and so on. But keep calling Twilight the purple unicorn, Spike the faithful assistant. It's not the best thing to do. I understand that sometimes you don't want to repeat Twilight said, Twilight did, Twilight levitated, but it has to be done. There is actually something that you really need to do. Yeah, that's kinda my only concerns about it. And yeah, as I'm going through the past, the verbs, several days passed, as in past tense. Is it past tense? Yes, past tense. But it's your first one, so it's alright. It's really alright. I mean, other than those two, I have nothing else to talk about. The rest was pretty good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Of course, a different style from mine, so I can't judge that. I can't judge the style. That's his own style. I have mine. By the way, if you want to read my things, you can. You just need to ask. I just leave it in the comments below. It's the story of my OC. Okay. I think I'm dragging this. See, I can't. Sorry, I bumped into the mic. I can't just say complex word. I'm dragging this. It's hard. I need to think about it. I need to concentrate. Anyway, we have reached 30 minutes right now, but I'm gonna cut some stuff. So yeah. Anyway, if you liked the story, goes to Nathan's channel and go read it, to DeviantArt, to FanFiction. I'm gonna leave the link of the video where he talks about it. If you like my voice, subscribe to me, but still subscribe to him. If you want to see more, do whatever you want. Check my channel sometimes, check his channel. I don't know. I don't know what to say. And yeah. Oh, I'm not 100% sure I'll be back full time. I do have some things to react to, like death battle between Deadpool and Pinkie Pie. I actually managed to avoid any spoilers from that. So yeah, and I think I have a few more, but I need to find them. I need to remember what they were. Anyway, this is enough. I hope you liked everything, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next time. Goodbye.